There is no such thing as the present. You have the immediate future and the past. Does this mean we can artificially go forward or back if we're never really in the here and now? Is time travel possible? The short answer to one of man's most complicated conundrums is yes. Look to the stars each night. All of that light, as we see it, happened long ago. Its radiance racing incredible distances across the cosmos to become visible to our eyes on Earth. And despite its moniker, a light year is not a measurement of time, but of distance. How far light travels over the course of one of our years? About 6 trillion miles, or 671 million miles per hour. Let's see how it stacks up to what we call fast on our planet. Some local celestial examples of the past we see on a daily basis include the sun. The great fireball in the sky we see is from 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. The moon happened 1.26 seconds ago. Even the person standing 4 feet in front of you, although practically instantaneous, is microseconds in the past. The nearest star to us is our sun, but the next closest, Alpha Centauri, which is part of a trinary system, is 4.25 light years away. And although we can't see it with the naked eye, when viewing it through a telescope, we're seeing it as it appeared. Yep, you got it, 4.25 years ago. The pod I've constructed, used for observable time travel only to the past, allows me to essentially jettison to points of the universe where light bouncing from the Earth is still reaching. To date, I've been able to see our world back as far as millions of years ago, watching our history objectively as if we were an alien civilization. And as we prepare for the intergalactic alignment of 2027, allowing the prospect of physical interaction, we must begin to ask ourselves, are we willing to take the guidance from our ancestors to navigate the next chapter of humanity? Come with me and learn about our past, our simple collection of distant light.
Taking your mind to and fro, it's the Atypical culture.
We're pleased to have Edgar Ambrose Dawson in our studio this week. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. As you know, the stigma with this topic tends to carry with you, so most of the time I just have to pretend it doesn't bother me, that everyone thinks I'm just joking about it or I'm not taken seriously. So I appreciate any outlet that can support the truth.
Well, we, for one, are all excited to hear more.
But what's important, besides educating the public on our actual history, is that in the year 2027, there will be a galactic alignment that goes into the universe that only occurs every few million years, where I believe I will be able to physically interact with the past.
So the idea that you built a time machine yourself has to be the stopping point for most people.
And I would too. I don't blame them.
I commend your passion.
Well, I think now is the time to start talking about our past so we can learn from it and approach our future with a lot more strategy. We're at the dawn of a new millennium, and the web is taking off exponentially. And I'd imagine in 30 years the world just isn't going to be the same anymore. We'll be governed by pocket-sized technology and artificial intelligence and quantum computing. And the way we look at history will be gone because it'll be curated and tailored to the individual for entertainment, not truth. Because now I feel I'm responsible. I should be the one that tells people the truth.
Let's backtrack. Start out to how you came building it.
Yep. So we get into that. So when I was 11, I used to go to this area, the woods near my home. And I could have gone dozens and dozens of times. And no one else was ever there, ever. And it felt like my own private sector of the world. Somehow that chunk of earth was mine. And I'm sure most people have a place like that, or at least used to. But on one particular day I was there, a series of rocks began to tumble at my feet from a hill that was lined on one of the paths. But they seemed to be dropping at my feet with method and coordination. It wasn't a clear rock slide. And so I decided to hike up to the mountaintop to where those rocks were coming from to see what was going on. And there at the top was this tree, this gorgeous tree with exposed roots. And I could see right through it. And I could tell there was something right under those roots buried. I couldn't make out what it was. So when I pulled it from the tree root, I had no idea what it was. But I knew completely what it meant at the same time. So I took it and never told anyone else about it. And this little tablet stayed with me all through grade school. I took it with me to college, and I still never told anyone else about it. So around 19, because I was now into engineering, I decided to look at it from a completely different perspective. And something told me that these were schematics. This was a design to build.
And at this point, you still haven't told anyone?
Career suicide was a factor. It did play into it. But no, I think deep down, I didn't know how to explain it to anyone else. You know, there was no words in the English language that could portray what I was thinking about this thing, let alone try to teach another engineer on how to build this thing when I didn't even know how to articulate it. So it's coming down to the core belief that we all have something, a trademark ability inside of us that we can't teach because we were never taught it. And it would almost be like trying to explain someone when I learned how to see or hear.
Where is it now?
It's away.
How long did it take to make it?
It took 3 years to build it.
How does it work?
Well, I lie down in the pod, which is essentially a 6-foot-long table. Once in, I go completely inverted, and that's it.
Do you see everything upside down if that's how you're hanging there?
No. It self-corrects. Actually, let me show you how it works.
Taking your mind to...
So anyone with a really cool high school physics teacher, you've probably seen this model before on the fabric of space-time and how gravity affects it. So Einstein said with general relativity that any object with energy and mass, the sun for example, will cause a curvature in space-time represented by this cloth. And even though light doesn't have mass, it's still affected by the curvature that mass creates. Light from the sun curves to hit our eyes on Earth. So what my pod does, it relies on the subset of special relativity, finding points in space that bypass space-time curves not bound by gravity or accelerated motion. It pinches the fabric of space-time, allowing you to go to distant parts of the universe that light hasn't hit yet from the Earth. Now what we've called something like this, the closest thing that we have that we can reference this is called an Einstein-Rosen bridge or a wormhole.
Taking your mind...
Wow. How do you know exactly when to stop? Say looking back 50 million years ago instead of, say, 1341 AD.
No, that's a really good question, but while you're in the pod, you're only focusing on the fourth dimension, ignoring the other three spatial dimensions. So while traveling to your point of destination, that's the only thing you're concerned about, and so it's a lot easier than you'd think. But once you're at the point of where you're viewing, I can't get really low perspective on the Earth. It's essentially about viewing it from the equivalent of, let's say, a mountaintop.
And you can't take pictures or video of some kind? Will that not work?
Well, I wouldn't want to try that for a few reasons. Number one, I think they would be just as easily dismissed and say they were fakes or hoaxes as my rhetoric. And secondly, I think that would make my machine traceable, and I don't want that either.
You don't want anyone else to see it?
I think it would be taken from me, it would be militarized, and I would just simply go away. And if that happened, I think we would have a very, very sticky situation on our hands. You know, a lot of times I'll wish I hadn't gone up that hill and chased those rocks. I do. It is a tremendous responsibility and burden to know what I know.
Can't you destroy it?
I'm going to patiently wait until 2027 when the alignment occurs, that eliminates more of the space-time curvature. And I would like to personally be the one that proves my theory of partial interaction. I firmly believe that I can send sound waves to the past.
Sound waves? Like your voice?
Well, I was thinking along the lines of mimicking a sound from the environment that I'd be viewing in, just enough to make it sound foreign. I think that's the proper first step in physical interaction.
How could you possibly pick which fragment of time and place in the history of our world to interact with? Are you going to stop a tragedy or warn people? But wait, first, tell us, what is the most contrast to what we recorded as history as to what you've seen? Like, what are we way off on?
Yeah, how long is the show? I mean, what are we talking about? The first seafaring civilization, the extinction of the dinosaurs. What do you want to know? The last ice age, the construction of the pyramids. But what's really cool, I'll tell you this. In the year 2027, there will be a galactic alignment that goes into the universe that only occurs every few million years, where I believe I will be able to physically interact with the past. Well, I lie down in the pod, which is essentially a 6-foot-long table. Once in, I go completely inverted, and that's it.
Pick which fragment of time and place in the history of our world to interact with. Are you going to stop a tragedy or warn people?
You know, a lot of times I'll wish I hadn't gone up that hill and chased those rocks. I do. It is a tremendous responsibility and burden to know what I know. I firmly believe that I can send sound waves to the past. I was thinking along the lines of mimicking a sound from the environment that I'd be viewing in, just enough to make it sound foreign. I think that's the proper first step in physical interaction.